In this video, I will demonstrate the power rule or power property of logs. If you look at this logarithm and you try to evaluate it, it could be difficult. If you had to take 81 and square it, you'd get a very large number, and then it would be very difficult to try to figure out the log base 3 of that huge number. So we have this great thing that we can do which allows us to take the power of what we're taking the log of and move that number right in front of the logarithm. So we can rewrite this as log base 3 of 81, and then we've moved the 2 out in the front, and we'll multiply it. That's a multiplication right there. So how do we go about figuring this out now? Well, let's go ahead and we're just going to chunk it. We're going to take a part of this, the log base 3 of 81, and we're just going to figure out what that equals. And whatever that equals, that's what we'll multiply by 2. So we're going to figure out what x is here. So let's go ahead and take the log base 3 of 81 equals x. We are going to take the base 3 and we're going to raise it to the x power, and that'll equal 81. So we just have to figure out what x is. So x in our case, again, you can take 81 and maybe use a factoring tree, and what we find is that let's keep going. This is 3 times 9, and we can keep factoring. We get a 3 and a 3. So basically we can ascertain that 81 is 3 raised to the 4th power. So x is 4. So again, 3 to the 4th power is going to give us 81. Now, what we need to do now is, since we know this is the same as 2 times x, and our x is 4, we determined, then basically our answer is 8. So 8 is our answer for what the log base 3 of 81 to the 2nd power is. Let's use the power property or power rule of logs with some fractions. We need to evaluate log base 5 of 1/5 to the 3rd power. So again, the power property tells us that we can basically move that 3 out in front. So this will be the same as 3 times the log base 5 of 1/5. Now, we're just going to try to evaluate this, and whatever that is equal to, then we'll multiply it by 3. So the log base 5 of 1/5 is going to equal something. Okay, so let's figure out what it equals. 5 raised to the x power equals 1/5. Okay, so x in our case is going to be a -1. All right, so this means that we can rewrite this as 3 times -1, or we get -3. So our answer is -3. There's another way you can do this. You'll notice that what we did first is we solved for x, and then that x value is what the log base 5 of 1/5 is, and then we just multiplied that basically. But watch, I'm going to do this slightly different. What if instead of writing, just immediately taking the 3 and moving it down here, what if we thought a little bit and we rearranged things? I'm going to write it as log base 5, and what if I took the 1/5 and I made it 1/5? I turned that into a 5 to the -1 power. It's the same thing, right? So I could basically write this as 5 to the -1 power to the third power. And I could consolidate more. And I could write this as 5 raised to the negative 3 power. Ooh, this is looking interesting. So let's keep going with this thought. Now I'm going to take that negative 3 and bring it down. So I will have negative 3 times log base 5 of 5. Well, we already know what this is going to equal, right? That equals 1. So this is the same as negative 3 times 1, or negative 3. So we get the same answer, just two different ways. Maybe you see the problem a different way. You can get the right answer in multiple ways.